Good day to everyone, wherever and whatever time you are listening to us. First of all, I welcome all of you to join us for ICAEW Advanced Level Orientation for July 2022 session. And on behalf of Accountancy and Finance Training Center, AFTC, I welcome all of you. Congratulations on making the first of many great decisions in your career. Obviously, you would be some sort of professional holding some sort of academic or professional qualification. So that would be a really good step if you proceed toward ICAEW Advanced Level Qualification. Before we discuss the content, first of all, let's have a brief overview about the tutor, because most of the time students are much worried about the tutor. They are much worried about the person who is teaching to them. I am Numan Yakat. I am ICAEW member. Apart from that, I am also a senior member of ACCA. You can say fellow chartered accountant. Besides that, I am also a member of Pakistan Institute of Public Finance Accountants. I have more than 7 years of teaching experience and more than 5 years of industry experience in different industries at different positions, basically. I have also worked as a university lecturer. Moreover, I am a tutor at different online forums and approved learning partner here as well. I am also an Oxford Brookes University mentor. And lastly, I also hold business finance professional certification from UK as well, basically. So this is basically a brief introduction about myself. Alhamdulillah, I am an ICAEW member as well. So without any delay, let's start the contents of today's orientation. So these are the contents of our today's orientation. Apart from this content, if you people will be having any question, then definitely we will be taking all of your questions at the end of this session. First of all, we will be discussing why ICAEW. Let's say if you hold some sort of academic or any professional qualification, then why you should join the ICAEW. So do you think, is there any benefit to join the ICAEW or not? Second, we will be talking about the qualification structure. What is the structure of ICAEW? How many different levels are there? How many different exams are there? Then we will be talking about the exemptions criteria. Let's say, as we were talking about, if you hold some sort of accountancy or finance background, either in academic side or holding a professional qualification, then you may be allowed to go for some sort of exemption. There is an exemption criteria. What is that criteria? We will be talking about briefly on this exemptions criteria. Then we will talk about the exam structure. Let's say if you have availed multiple exemptions, then what will be the exam structure? Primarily, this orientation is focused on ICAEW Advanced Level. So we will be talking about the exam structure of ICAEW Advanced Level. For certificate level and for professional level, we will be holding another orientation. Then we will be talking about why students fail. What is the reason? What are major reasons? What are drawbacks? Why students are going to fail in ICAEW Advanced Level exam? Then we will be talking about some of our results and what is our approach, how we are going to study for next few months in this session, basically. We will be also talking about one of the most important points that we have just started, that is no pass, no fee model. So what is no pass, no fee model? And lastly, as I mentioned, we will be having a question and answer session, basically. So these are the contents of our today's orientation. First of all, let's talk about the no pass and no fee model. What is that model? No pass, no fee model. Let's say if a student studies with us and that student complies with terms and conditions, definitely we are very hopeful that student is going to pass in its exam, basically. Let's say if unfortunately that student is not going to pass, then in very next attempt that student can study free of cost with us. But definitely for that, we have some terms and conditions basically. So we will be talking about those terms and conditions when someone will be joining us for those areas basically. So no pass, no fee model is simply you have to study, you have to comply with our terms and condition, and definitely you are going to make a pass. But unfortunately, if you are unable to successful, then in very next attempt, you can study free of cost with us and there will be no tuition fee. This is no pass, no fee model of accountancy and finance training center. Then let's talk about why ICAEW. If you hold some sort of qualification, then why you should join the ICAEW? What I believe, there are multiple reasons to join ICAEW. First of all, it is a top-up qualification. Let's say most of the people who join ICAEW, they are after ACC. Let's say you are ACC affiliate or you are ACCA member. Then you are eligible for certain exemption based on which exams you have studied in professional level, in optional level of ACCA basically. So first of all, after ACC, either you are affiliate or you are member, it is a top-up qualification. It means you can enhance your knowledge, you can enhance your skills basically. So if you are going to enhance your knowledge, if you are going to enhance your skill, definitely there would be a higher starting salary for you. There would be multiple opportunities for you. ICAEW is basically among leading accountancy and finance body in world. It's a leading accountancy body, higher qualification, more prestigious qualification. So you have opportunities across the globe. It means you are eligible for worldwide opportunities. You can have your job, you can have your firm at anywhere in the world, subject to relevant rules and regulations of that place basically. So these are some of the reasons why you should join ICAEW. There are some other reasons, as I mentioned earlier, that ICAEW is among the leading qualifications. So definitely it's a higher recognition as compared to other qualification. At this point, we are not against or we are not degrading any other qualification, but we are just stating this fact that ICAEW gives you higher recognition in society. It's a prestigious qualification, as ICAEW will give you knowledge about accountancy, finance, audit, business analysis, and many other areas. So ICAEW gives you knowledge, so it gives you a diversified scope, because ICAEW exams are structured in such a way that they give you a knowledge, they provide you higher level skills basically. So all of these qualification, all of these properties of these qualifications makes you eligible that you can work at top positions in your company, in your firm, or anywhere in the world basically. So these are some of the reasons why you should join ICAEW. Now let's talk about the exemption side basically, because most of the people talk about exemption. Let's say you are ACC affiliate or you are ACCA member, then how much exemptions are available for you? ACC. Let's say in optional level, if you have studied advanced taxation and if you have studied advanced audit, then you will be eligible for 12 exemptions basically. Out of 15 exams, you will be eligible for 12 exemptions in ICAEW. As you can see that I am talking about ACCA because most of the students who join ICAEW, they are after the ACCA. So if you hold any other professional qualification or any other academic qualification, then you are requested to please visit this site of ICAEW. Please visit this link, and then all of your queries will be answered for your exemptions basically. Because different academic qualifications, different professional qualifications are eligible for different exemptions basically. Maximum you can get 12 exemptions in ICAEW. So in short, we can say we have different exemptions for different qualifications basically. Moving forward, exam structure. What is the exam structure of ICAEW? In ICAEW, we have three different levels. First of all, we have certificate level. Second, we have professional level. And third, we have advanced level. Certificate level have 6 different exams, 6 exams or modules. In the same way, professional level also has 6 exams, but advanced level have 3 exams as well. Only 3 exams. In certificate level, you have accounting, assurance, taxation, law, business finance, management information. And in professional level, that is a little bit advanced level of certificate level. FAR, financial accounting and reporting, AA, audit and assurance, BS, business strategy, TC, tax compliance, FM, financial management, BPT, business planning taxation. So if you are ACCA affiliate or ACCA member, as we have discussed earlier on previous slide, so you are eligible for exemptions of all of these 12 papers. So these 6 exams would be exempted. These 6 exams would also be exempted for you, and you just have to appear in 3 exams only. So you will be appearing in CR, that is corporate reporting exam. Another exam is SBM, that is strategic business management. And finally, there is a case study exam as well. So in advanced level, in short, we have just 3 exams, and then we can achieve the prestigious status of ACA ICAEW. As our major focus is on this side, corporate reporting, strategic business management, and case study. So let's discuss these points in much detail here as well. Before we discuss, let me give you some of the points why some students unfortunately fail in ICAEW exam. Why some students fail? I have categorized these reasons in 3 different boxes, as you can see. First of all, not prioritizing ICAEW. Let's say if you hold the ACC qualification or any other qualification, then students think they have studied the corporate reporting or they have studied the business analysis or audit and assurance in different levels of ACCA or any other qualification. That's why they think the exam would be same, their status would be same. Just think for a moment, if both of them or any of them is same, then why there was need of other qualification? Why there was need? Definitely, there is something different in ICAEW. That's why we have a separate body of ICAEW and we have a separate body of ACC or any other professional qualification as well. Another problem is covering the whole syllabus. Basically, what students do, they cover the whole syllabus, but they are left with some of the point. But they leave out some of the point because they think these points are much important, these other points are not much important. No. So you should not prioritize, you should not think, you should not make a guess what is important and what is not important, because anything is examinable. So you have to be careful, you have to study each and everything, you have to complete study yourselves. Poor time management, yes. Most of the students, in fact, more than 95% of the students who join ICAEW, either they are job holders, you will be having some sort of job, or you will be in ICAEW training agreement. So either you are a job holder or you are in a training agreement of ICAEW, it means you have shortage of time. Definitely you have to go to office, your routine job, a lot of areas, either you are in firm or you are in industry, so there will be a shortage of time. So what is the approach? What you can do, how you have to use your time? Basically, this will be very, very important for you. because it is not like that, like within a month or within 1.5 months you can prepare for your exam. It will be very, very tough, very, very challenging for anyone. Another issue with student is vague writing expressions. Basically, let's say if you are going to write down something but that is not clear, but that is not understandable, so unfortunately examiner is unable to understand what you have written. If examiner is unable, then unfortunately you are not going to pass out your exam. Basically, so it is very, very important your writing expressions should be very, very good, because you are going for one of the most prestigious and advanced level qualification in your career. After this, you will be achieving the status of ACA ICAEW. Now let's talk about the third box, lack of practice. Again, because students think different qualifications are same as compared to ICAEW, so they do not go for too many practice. Another reason, as I just mentioned, is basically shortage of time due to job or due to training. Generic discussion: when students attempt the different types of question, when they go for practice, then they think, let's say it is IAS 38 or IAS 10 or IAS 16 or any other IAS or IFRS, then they simply mention the rule. They simply mention the rule. As we know that ICAEW advanced level exams are open book exam. Open book exam. So what do you mean by open book exam? Open book exam means you can carry anything. You can carry your notes, you can carry your study text, you can carry your question bank, you can carry your past papers along with solution. It means you can carry anything. So just think, if you are just going to repeat the knowledge, repeating the same rules of IAS 38, IAS 10, IAS 16 or any other standard, what is being examined in your exam, so examiner is not going to award you the marks. So what is important? So apart from knowledge, application is much, much important here as well. And for that application, you must have relevant skills. So how you have to identify your advanced level points, basically. So you have to be very, very careful while you are answering the question, because IAS or IFRS are going to be the same. Either you study the one professional qualification or another qualification. So most of the time your IAS and IFRS would be same. But what makes it different is basically the testing level of ICAEW. Testing level of ICAEW, examination level of ICAEW, that is very much unique as compared to any other qualification in the world. They have a very unique marking key that makes it very different for rest of the students. Poor requirement addressing, again, that is something that also relates with the practice side. If students are unable to understand the requirement, because as we have discussed, these are advanced level points. So you have to be very, very good. You have to be very excellent in picking up your requirement. Because if you are unable to understand your requirement in a good manner, then unfortunately you are going to make an answer that might not be acceptable by examiner. So you have to be very, very careful while you are reading out your requirements, basically. Now let's talk about this second box. First of all, no awareness for integrated exam. So what is integrated exam? All of the exams of ICAEW, either it's a corporate reporting or it's a SBM. All of these exams are integrated exam. What do you mean by integrated? Integrated means there will be different subjects that you have to study at a time. You will be talking about reporting, you will be discussing the audit, you will be talking about ethics, business, finance, a lot of area. So you have to study the different subjects basically. In next few slides, we will discuss what is the syllabus, what is different composition of corporate reporting and SPM exam basically. So in integrated exam, in short, at one point of time, you have to think, you have to consider multiple areas, you have to talk about the different dimension, different angles basically. So you have to be very, very careful, because in rest of the exam, we just talk about one side, either it is reporting or it is audit. But in ICAEW, either it is corporate reporting or SPM, all of our exams are integrated exams basically. Another concern is basically lack of technical knowledge. Let's say if you study the one standard, either it is IAS or IFRS, so you should not cover only the basic, but you should also learn the different technical and advanced level points basically. Overconfidence, again, why? Because you think you know the relevant IAS, IFRS, auditing treatment, you have knowledge, that's why sometimes you think you are overconfident and unfortunately you might not be successful. Again, poor exam technique. Let's say you have a very good technical knowledge, you have advanced knowledge, but apart from these areas, you should be very, very good with your exam technique. Because in ICAEW, there are different exam pattern as compared to the rest of your exam basically. So in next slide, we will discuss what is the exam pattern and how ICAEW has categorized their exam basically. So on this slide, we talk about some of the reasons why students fail unfortunately in ICAEW exam. So let's discuss. If there are multiple reasons why unfortunately students fail, so how you should study basically. So we are offering different areas. First of all, you can join us for live online session. You can join us for recorded session. You can join us for a combination of live online and recorded session. And there is also one thing that is new that we just introduced, that is basically on-demand sessions basically. Live online, you will be attending a live class as we are having this orientation. Recorded session, it means students will be getting the recordings only, but they can definitely interact with the tutor. Live online and recorded session, it means there will be some live session and there will be some recorded session here as well. So you can use those recordings when you think you have to use them. And on-demand session, it means on-demand sessions mean you are very good with some point, but you need help in some area. So that's why you can go with these on-demand session. But these on-demand sessions are for retakers only. Let's say if someone was unsuccessful at 48 or 49, then it is helpful for those students only. A new student who has not attempted or who has not studied the ICAEW, so we will recommend them either you should use method 1, method 2, or method 3 basically. Most preferably, we will suggest to use the method 3 basically, because it allows you to go for live online and recorded session here as well basically. How we are going to study? First of all, what we are going to do, we are going to cover our syllabus. How our syllabus would be completed? Again, there would be live session and there would be some recorded session here as well. As we can see, when we will be talking about the syllabus of corporate reporting and SPM in very first class, then we will be talking about there are some basic standard, some basic areas, and there are some technical points as well. So for some of the basics, there will be some live session, and for some of the basic, there will be some recorded session here as well. Recordings would be provided to all of you students who are going to register with AFTC. You can use your recordings till your exam date basically. And for technical areas, let's say there is IFRS 15. If we talk about the reporting side, we have IFRS 16, we have IFRS 7, IFRS 9, and many other areas. So for these areas, we will be holding our live session as well as we will be sharing the recordings as well. Why? Because we believe revenue, lease, financial instruments, or any other area, these are much technical standard. So it is very important to interact with students in a live manner basically. Apart from these standards, we can also have our many live sessions here as well basically. So after syllabus completion, meanwhile, we will be talking about our syllabus. So we will be having our comprehensive notes. In next few minutes, I am also going to show you some of the sample of my notes basically. So there will be comprehensive notes, and all of these notes are free of cost for only those students who are going to study with us. We will be also using the latest study material of 2022. Sometimes students use the previous study material of old year, but unfortunately they are unaware of changes which have been made by ICAEW. Although those changes might be minor, but you should be careful because one single mistake can make a huge difference between 49 and 50. So you have to be very careful. We just do not focus on these lectures, either it is live one or recorded one. There are some assignments too. And assignments have been classified in class-based assignments and home-based assignments here as well. Let's say we are talking about IFRS 15 and we have discussed 2 examples in class. Then next 2 or 3 examples would be solved by different students in live manner here as well. So you people will be speaking, you people will be directly solving the question, sharing your screen with me and with other class participants so we can have an idea what do you think about relevant standard, what knowledge you have. Either you are right, you are wrong, how you should improve yourself basically. Apart from class-based assignment, there will be some home-based assignments here as well. As we will be meeting out, so I will be sharing some of the practice questions for relevant standards, relevant areas. So you will be using those questions, sending out those questions to me, and then we will be discussing in our next session basically. So assignments would be class-based assignments and home-based assignments here as well. If we talk about the practice session, then we will be using the question bank practice. We will be using the QB question bank of ICAEW. That is much recommended, highly recommended. We will be using our past papers practice here as well. Yes, it is very important because most of the time students think they ask this question, either we should use the question bank or we should use the past paper. My answer is simply we should use both of them. We should use question bank as well as our past papers basically. Test session, yes. As we will be progressing, as we will be talking about different standard, different areas, so there will be different test sessions here as well. And those tests would be conducted in live hour session. And those tests would be submitted by different students. And I would be providing feedback to every student. So there would be one-to-one feedback. Most of the time, what happened, let's say there was a question 1, question 2, question 3. Questions are provided by tutors, and then students solve those questions, and then teacher solve those questions here in class, and then students can think of what is the solution, what is the answer. This is fine, but what I believe at this level, particularly at ICAEW advanced level, every student is unique. Everyone has its own story, so it is very important to provide you individual feedback. Let's say there is a student, Mr. A, Mr. B, Miss C. So you should think, you should review the feedback, you should review the answer of all of these students basically. So what I do, I review the answers of each and every student, then I provide them the feedback. So there is one-to-one feedback on student transcripts basically. Either you are solving the question bank questions, past paper question, test session. So I would be providing you the relevant feedback on your script basically. But for this thing, we have one condition, you have to submit your assignments on time so we can provide you feedback on your exam script basically. Bear with me, I will also show you how we can provide you feedback. As we know that ICAEW exams are basically the new exam. So we have to do all of those exams using the new exam software of ICAEW. So sometimes most of the students are very much worried about this new exam software. So you should not be worried, as we will be holding our multiple session for ICAEW new exam software. What is ICAEW new exam software? How you should use this software? What are different shortcuts of this software? What are the benefits of this software? How we can maximize our speed? How we can complete our exam on time? So all of these points would be discussed in our different session, and those sessions are called as new exam software training session. As I told you earlier, we will be having detailed sessions for basic concept, let's say IES 2, IES 8, IES 10, or any other basic cost standards basically. Then there will be some dedicated sessions for technical areas, as I just mentioned, for IFRS 15, IFRS 16, consolidation, financial instrument, or any other standard basically. Then there would be revision sessions here as well basically. Yes, definitely. So for basics, for technical areas, or any other standard, we will be holding our different revision session. In the revision session, we have divided our revision session in two areas. First of all, for issues, what are issues of different student, and then we go for further practice questions. So we were talking about, like, we have divided these revision session in two areas. First of all, we will be discussing the issues of different student, and then we will be having different practice questions in these revision sessions here as well. Like, what are the issues? Either it could be relevant for IES 2, IES 16, IES 24, or any other standard. So we will be discussing, we will try to resolve issues of all of you students basically. We have all of our sessions are basically the interactive question and answer sessions basically. So we will be holding our question and answer session after the end of every topic or every major area basically. So we must share what are the different problems, what are different queries of students, and how we are going to, and we have to resolve the queries of all of those students basically. Then we will be discussing the techniques for getting easy marks basically. Yes, we believe in exam, the question is divided into three areas: easy marks, there are some medium marks, and then there are some hard or technical marks basically. So in exam, we will be also telling you, first of all, how you should get the easy marks. Because when you will be able to get those easy marks, then definitely your confidence level would be increased, and then you will be able to achieve those medium and hard or technical. And then we'll be discussing how you can get marks here as well. Then we will be talking about exam tips and techniques. Yes, those exam tips and techniques are not at the end of every session. When we will be talking about every standard, every topic. So along with every topic, we will be talking about those exam tips and techniques basically. And there will always be a tutor support with you through WhatsApp message, WhatsApp call, through email. You can directly contact with me. So I will be able to answer your queries as early as possible for you. So you should not be waiting for our next session when it will be, and then you have to discuss your question. No, it will be a time-taking process. So that's why we will share the WhatsApp detail and email detail, so you can directly coordinate with me, and you can, and all of your queries will be answered in this manner. So this is our approach, how we have studied in past, and we have been very successful with this approach. So we will be using that approach. Apart from this approach, if you think there is any other point or any other area how we should focus on, so definitely please tell me what it should be, so how we can improve it ourselves, so we can incorporate those points in our sessions basically. So on this screen now you can see the Ifrs content. These are basically some of the sample notes of our class. Like these are the content. Normally people think IFRS 5 is for two areas. It is held for sale and discontinued operation. That's fine. These are major areas. But apart from these major areas, you should be able to understand the minor and technical points, basically, like what are your abundant non-current assets, how these assets are different from rest of your asset. Either these are discontinued operation, these are held for sale, or what it is. Either you should charge the depreciation or you should not charge. What is the classification and measurement criteria of held for sale? What are disposal groups? How you have to charge the impairment. Normally people think the impairment is basically IAS 36, impairment of asset. But remember one thing, on IFRS 5, IAS 36 is also applicable. Impairment is also applicable. So how you can calculate impairment for disposal groups, how you should charge the impairment. And then we will be having some of the presentation and disclosures for those held for sale areas in this way. Here are some more contents. Discontinued operation. First of all, you should understand what is discontinued operation, because most of the students just go for the accounting treatment. You should present them separately. That is fine. But what are discontinued operation? How they are different from continued operation? What is the difference between continued and discontinued operation? What are components of an entity? What do you mean by component? Obviously, you will be aware what are components of financial statement, but what are components of an entity? What is stakeholders' perspective on discontinued operation? What stakeholders think about discontinued operation? What are subsidiaries held for sale? What is held for sale? What are held for sale assets? And how these are different, or do they are same thing, or they are same thing? Presentation and disclosures about discontinued operation. Then we will be sharing some of the formats for held for sale and format for discontinued operation here as well. So it was just a glimpse for one of our standards, that was IFRS 5. Here we have some sample for IAS 38. You might have heard about areas about copyright, patent, trademark. And we classify all of these points as IAS 38. Yes, we know all of them are intangible assets. But do you know what are differences between copyright, patent, and trademark? Yes, you can see on the screen. There are various differences. And at this advanced level, examiner expects from student that you should be able to understand the differences between these points, basically. So we will be talking about these areas, what are differences in different points, basically. You can see intangible assets. What do you mean by Coca-Cola? Either Coca-Cola is a brand or Coca-Cola is a trademark. What about curved glass bottles? Either it is a brand or it is a trademark. So all of these points are basically the advanced level areas. So all of them are basically the advanced points, technical areas. So you should be able to learn those technical points, basically. What are those technical areas? How you should answer. It is very, very important. Now we have some of the sample notes for our SBM exam, basically. Let's say funding management. Again, funding management is basically a topic of working capital. So if you are talking about working capital, if you are talking about funding management, so what are the important areas that you should consider, basically? What is length of time? What is interest rate? What is security? What are different sources of finance? What are different types of finance? What about funds availability? What are different funding policies? What are different funding policies? What are different sources of different funding policies? So you should be able to answer, you should be able to understand all of those areas, basically. Again, all of these points are technical, so you should be able, examiner believe that as a student, we must have knowledge of all of these points basically. Again, what are the issues affecting the global treasury management? Like what are cash flow issues? What are legal issues? What are political concerns? What are taxation issues? So I have just mentioned some of those issues basically. What are issues? There are multiple issues. Again, in different issues, let's say if we just talk about the legal issue or political issue, so what are different issues basically? So as a chartered accountant, as a good professional, you should be able to understand each and everything. Because let's say if you are working in a company that is basically a multinational company, and your company would be having different branches, different subsidiaries, different associates in different parts of the world. So let's say if you have been appointed, if you have been selected for that assignment, so what you have to do? You have to consider all of these points basically. You have to consider all of these points. You have to think about cash flow, legal issue, political issue, taxation issue, reporting issue, many issues basically. So at that time, you should think about a good professional, a good accountant basically. Let's say what are different contents of business plan? What are different contents? What is relevant data? What is executive summary? What about marketing? What about your detail, your team, your assets, your cost, your business plan, your summary, your appendices, your calculation, each and everything basically. So previous few slides, including this slide, was just a sample of our notes that what we are going to share with our students who are going to study with us basically. Now let's move forward. In this slide, we are going to talk about the feedback. As I was telling you that we will provide you the feedback, and feedback would be one-to-one feedback. It means feedback on every student transcript. This is basically a transcript of one of my students. Obviously, I will not share the name, the detail, but I can share. You can see that part was attempted by the student, and this was the question of consolidation. Obviously, this portion is incomplete. You will not be getting much more marks in this portion. You should talk about fair value adjustment. You should talk about contingent consideration, investment, its measurement, remeasurement, and all of these points are very important as a part of tutor feedback. So I mentioned what is right and how you should improve it basically. Again, this is a feedback for another student. They were attempting the question of share-based option, share-based scheme, IFRS 2. Let's say they have mentioned settle share-based payment as the company has granted share option to investor. What do you mean by the company? What is the name of that company? Because you have just started your question. So at least once or twice, you should use the name of company. And then you can say the company, you can use the word. But initially, if you will use the word, it means you are just using your knowledge. You are not showing your skill. So again, this is a very technical point. Examiner will not reward you for general areas. Examiner will reward you for your skill, for your application, for your technical area. They have mentioned the point, but what is the vesting period? You should mention. They have mentioned the grant date. What is grant date? What is your vesting date? What is your fair value? Why you are not using the currency sign? Why? So you should discuss about different areas. You should talk about different perspective. Then you will be able to pass out your exam basically. So the whole purpose of this entire story is to just provide you a glimpse how we operate and how we work with different students basically. Now let's talk about the different component. Now let's talk about the syllabus of corporate reporting and strategic business management. Corporate reporting, that is normally known as CR, and strategic business management, that is known as SBM basically. In corporate reporting, we have three areas. We have reporting, that is a major area, that is approximately 55 to 65%. Auditing, 30 to 40%. Ethics approximately 5 to 10%. Again, ethics are very, very important, not only for corporate reporting, but for all of the 15 exam of ICAEW, all 15 exam. Ethics could be tested in any part of the question, in any of the question, or it might be tested in 2 or 3 different questions here as well. So you should be very, very good with your ethics. But there is a question, why there is so much emphasis, why there is so much focus on ethics? Because ICAEW believes, let's say you are a chartered accountant, you are a good professional, you hold a good degree, you earn a very good amount, but what you are contributing, what you are paying back to society. If you are a good accountant, if you are a good person, ethical person, it means you are returning something back to the society. It means your ethics, your principle, your ethical values should be very, very strong. That's why ethics are very important, and they are tested in every 15 exam of ICAEW. 55 to 65% for reporting, 30 to 40% for auditing side. So primarily corporate reporting is focused on these 2 areas basically. But if you want to pass it out, you should not ignore the ethic. If you ignore, then it might be difficult to pass out your exam. If we talk about SBM, strategic business management, then this strategic business management has 4 components. Business analysis, 30 to 40%, finance, 25 to 35%, reporting and auditing, approximately 25 to 30% cumulatively, ethics, again, 5 to 10% basically. What you can see, these 2 areas, business analysis and finance, these are your major areas in SBM exam basically, major area. But if you make a comparison, then you can think 25 to 30% and this 5 to 10%. So approximately you can say 30% to 40% of SBM syllabus overlaps with your corporate reporting syllabus basically. So if you are studying in July, then normally we recommend students, because if you have time, then you should study both of the exam basically. Because if you are studying the corporate reporting, then definitely you are covering the SBM exam as well. Approximately 30 to 40% of syllabus of SBM is already being covered with corporate reporting exam as well. But if you are studying the SBM and not studying the corporate reporting, then you might face some of the difficulty, because this reporting and auditing area is just covered in corporate reporting exam. It is not covered separately in SBM. But definitely we will look at some of the points, major point, and we will go for some of the practice question, but in detail that will be covered in corporate reporting. So it is important, if you have time, then it is suggested you should study both of the exam, then it would be much easier to cover your syllabus and pass out your exam basically. There is another reason, because in July exam, you have much more time. You can start your preparation from February or March. But when you will be talking about the November attempt, then after July exam, you have August, September, and October, maximum 3 months. It is possible you can go with one of the exam, but it would be very, very hard to cover both of the exam in just 3 months. Studying both exam, covering the syllabus, practice, revision, that is very, very difficult. It is not possible, but that is very much difficult. So it is suggested, if you are going for July exam, then you should study the both exam if you have time and if you can manage. Moving forward. This is again just a graphical representation of corporate reporting syllabus. We have ethics, we have audit and assurance, we have corporate reporting side. And this is just a graphical representation of your SBM exam. Basically, we have ethics, we have business analysis, we have finance, we have corporate reporting, we have assurance. As I just told you, these ethics, assurance, and corporate reporting are similar areas. They are similar areas, and it will be a good approach if you study both of these exams basically. This is just my suggestion. Rest it depends on different students, what are their circumstances and how they should approach different exam basically. So for that, we can have one-to-one session about your circumstances, and we will also guide you how you should study. Either you should study the one exam or two exam basically. So at the end of orientation, we will share the detail about our relevant contact area. So far, we have discussed the corporate reporting and SBM syllabus, but now what is the exam pattern of corporate reporting? As we know that this corporate reporting is basically the 100 marks exam, and 50 are passing marks. So if you get the 50 marks, then that's a very, very good approach. It means you have qualified your exam basically. But these 100 marks are divided into 3 questions. Question 1, question 2, and question 3 basically. Question 1 is for 40 marks approximately. Question 2 is for 30 marks. Question 3 is for 30 marks approximately, because sometimes it's possible some question could be for 42 marks or 38 marks. Marks might vary, but approximately 40, 30, 30, that is a division from ICAEW exam. So in question 1, this question is also called as major case study question. Why? Because this question carries majority of your marks basically. It would be for accounting, reporting, and ethics. Not only reporting, accounting as well. It means in this portion, let's say if you have some sort of disposal of consolidation, then examiner might ask you about the double entries. What are double entries? What are entries for revaluation? What are different entries? So you should be able, you should have a good grip on your accounting as well as reporting as well. Question 2, that is for 30 marks. It could be for reporting. It could be for audit. Again, it could also contain the ethics area as well. But question 3, most of the time, this question is an integrated question, and it is a combination of both reporting and audit. So you have to be very, very careful about your exam. Let's say there was a question about consolidation. So you have to apply the consolidation rule. Like you have to calculate the goodwill, you have to calculate the NCI, you have to calculate your retained earning, you have to go for your other areas. But along with these areas, you should also talk about the audit. Like what are the audit risks in this consolidation side of going for this area, going for this acquisition? What are audit issues? What audit procedures can be performed? What analytical procedures can be performed? What will be the implication for audit report? So in a same question, you should apply your accounting and reporting knowledge as well as your auditing knowledge here as well, basically. So you have to be very, very careful, because these exams are integrated exam basically. A good approach, a good technique will allow you to successfully complete those exams basically. Now, this slide will give you idea about SBM exam structure. In SBM, unlike corporate reporting, we have 2 questions. Again, SBM is also for 100 marks, and in the same way, 50 are passing marks basically. So on 50 you are hero, on 49 unfortunately you are not hero. 2 questions, question number 1, question number 2. Question 1 is approximately 55 to 65 marks. Question 2 approximately 35 to 45 marks basically. Again, question 1 is a major case study, and question 2 is a minor case study basically, or it is also called as mini case study because it is for relatively less mark. In question 1, there would be business analysis, finance, and sometimes there could be a question about costing here as well basically. So you have to be careful. about the costing area, like it could be your activity based costing, it could be your break even point, it could be about your variance, it could be about your budgeting, it could be about your performance management. So you have to be careful about your basic. Obviously, we will be covering those basics in our session here as well. Then question 2, 35 to 45 mark. Again, business analysis, finance, but it is observed that reporting, auditing, and ethics are normally discussed in question 2. Primarily, reporting and auditing side is discussed in question 2 of SBM exam, basically. Again, the same thing that I was just discussing. If you cover the corporate reporting, then to some extent you are also covering your SBM as well as its SBM exam here as well, basically. Moving forward, we will talk about briefly about case study, as case study is entirely a new exam. It is entirely a very different exam, basically, and we will be holding a separate. We will be having a separate orientation in March 2022 for case study. We will discuss briefly in this orientation, but we will be having a separate detailed orientation about case study in March 2022. Case study is basically a report writing exam. Case study is basically a report writing exam, basically. So in this exam, you have to write a report, but for writing a report, you must have your skills. You might think about you have to use your knowledge like accounting, reporting, auditing, taxation, finance, financial management, business strategy, ethics. But no, in this case study exam, there is no technical knowledge. You will not be using the reporting. There is no reporting. No reporting. There is no audit. There is no finance. There is no strategy. Case study is basically a skill-based exam, basically. Let me give you the example. Let's say it is 2018 and it is 2019. Let's say your inventory. Here your inventory was $10 million, its value. And in 2019, your inventory value is $25 million. It means my inventory value has increased by $15 million in just 1 year. If this is your inventory, this is your closing inventory. If it is your closing inventory, it means there might not be very much amount of sales. So there might be something wrong. There might be something wrong with your sales, your selling price, your volume, your design, your cost, your sales team, your marketing. There could be something wrong. There could be some inefficiency. Why this inventory is not being sold out? If this inventory would be sold out, definitely it would be converted into receivable and ultimately it will bring cash for the entity. We know cash is the lifeblood for any organization. An organization could survive without profits, but it would be hugely difficult to survive without cash in a long term. So as a CEO, as a business owner, you should think why my inventories are not being sold out. They might be out of fashion next year. They might be deteriorated. There would be a storage cost. There would be a holding cost. Some of these items might be out of the order. So there are multiple aspects of this transaction. So in this case study, we will be talking about report writing. We will be thinking, we will be considering a wider perspective, wider area for discussion. So we will discuss in case study detailed orientation. Then we will be talking about the advanced information. Yes, in case study, we have advanced information, and this advanced information is released approximately 6 weeks before exam. So what is that information? We will discuss it too. In case study, we have 3 exam requirements. Yes, you will be having only one question. One question would be of 100 marks, and this one question would be divided into 3 different exam requirements. Apart from 3 requirements, there will be an ethics question here as well. There would be ethical issue. Again, this ethical issue could be in your requirement 1, it could be in requirement 2, or it could be in requirement 3 here as well. Or it might be in 2 or 3 requirements here as well. So case study is entirely you can say case study is entirely a unique exam. Let's say if you have passed the rest of the 14 exam, or if you have obtained the multiple exemptions in your ICAEW, but one thing is for sure, you have not studied the case study, because case study is entirely a unique exam. Again, these are the requirements. In requirement 1, we will be talking about the financial analysis. So there will be financial statements of a company, and we have to analyze the financial statement. You should not analyze the whole financial statement. You should stick it to your relevant exam requirement. So you should think what you should write and what you should not write. Second part is financial data analysis, or FDA. So there would be some numbers, and you have to use those numbers, and then you have to think what could happen in future. This is called as financial data analysis, basically. Let's say your price is $2 per unit for book. Let's say you are a company that goes for different types of books. You publish different types of book, and your one book price is, let's say, $2 per unit, and you are estimating you will make a sale of 10 million units. That would be your sales volume. That is your prediction for your next year. But if you look at the previous year, then your selling price was $1 per unit. That is your previous year. And there was sale of approximately 500,000 units. But in next year, you are increasing your price 100%, and you are estimating that there would be 10 million unit sale. So do you think all of these estimates are reliable? Can you achieve those estimates? So you should apply your professional skepticism. You should apply your professional judgment. You should apply your knowledge. What are the assumptions of this mechanism? Why you are thinking you are increasing the sales price? You are considering there would be a huge demand for your product. Why? What is the reason? You should not think, you should not say this is wrong, this is manipulation or something wrong. No, it is possible. Let's say you have opened your multiple branches. Might be you have opened your branches in different countries of the world, different cities of the world. You might have some new contract. It could be anything. It could be anything. So you should think your assumption. You should talk about your professional skepticism. You should use professional judgment. This is called as financial data analysis, or FDA. So we will think what are different models. Let's say, can we apply the sensitivity analysis? Let's say if we will apply the sensitivity analysis, if we just change the selling price, if we change the variable cost, if we change the overheads, if we change the discount rate, so what will be the impact? What will be the profit? What will be the loss? Can we apply break-even point? Can we apply IRR or any other relevant technique? Then in requirement 3, we will be talking about business analysis. Let's say you are talking about the book. So what about paper? How you will get this paper? Either your supply is ethical or your supply is not ethical. It's quite possible your supplier could be at a different country. It could be from a different country. If your supplier is from a different country, it's quite possible that supplier might use child labor. Let's say if your supplier is using the child labor, definitely it is against ethics. You should not be associated with such a supplier. If you will associate, if you will be in connection with such a supplier, ultimately your reputation could be at stake later on. So you should avoid. So there could be multiple aspects. You should think in a broader perspective about your analysis, about your case, about your client, basically. And finally, there would be executive summary. What is executive summary? Executive summary is just basically an analysis. It is just basically a summary of what we have done in 3 requirements, basically. This is executive summary. Moving forward, here you can see some of the results of our previous students, basically, and we have got some very good results in past year as well. Obviously, it is not possible to share the results of all of those candidates. We will be publishing those results very soon on our website. But you can see the different student results who have completed their different exam with us in 2021 and in 2020. So we have just placed the results of last 2 years of some of the students. Apart from this, our students, we have been teaching around last 7 years to ICAEW. And all of these students are from different areas, from different countries, different geographical location. Obviously, we cannot share their name and most probably we cannot share their registration numbers. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us for this orientation. I thank you, all of you, on behalf of Accountancy and Finance Training Center. So these are the contact details, WhatsApp detail, this is email, this is Facebook page. Our website is also in progress. Very soon, in the next few days, it will be available to all of you. So you people can directly contact with me through these details here with us. Thank you, all of you, for joining us for this orientation. Now it will be a question answer session. All of you can discuss your questions with me and I will be able to answer all of your questions. Thank you.